Okay, with this video we're looking at how to use the confidence interval equation to find what sample size we should use. So we've got a situation here where the principal wants us to know what proportion of students buy their lunch from the tuck shop with a margin of error of less than 5%. So there was a small pilot study and it came out to 30%. So we're going to use that as our proportion and we want to find out how many students should be surveyed. So our error, we need to find the formula first of all. The error equals 1.96 times the square root of p times 1 minus p all over n. So now we substitute in the numbers. We know that the error has to be less than 5%. We've got to have less than 5% error. So we know that this has to be less than 0.05. 1.96 times the square root of our error. This time we're going to use a proportion of 0.3 because it's 30%. If it didn't give us that, we'd use 0.5, but we're going to use 0.3. 0.3 times 0.7, which is 1 minus 0.3, all over n. All right. So now we start solving it. And to do that, the first thing that we're going to do, we need to divide by 1.96. So we've got 0.05 divided by 1.96 must be greater than the square root of 0.3 times 0.7 all divided by n. Okay. And I'm just going to write this down to 5 decimal or 5 significant figures. Right, so I have 0.0255255510. 5 significant figures is going to be enough because in the end we're going to, realistically, we're not going to have a decimal point number of people. We're not likely to have 5 significant figures there. So if we use 5 significant figures all the way, we're not likely to end up with a rounding error. Right, is greater than, well, 0.3 times 0.7 is 0.21. All over n. Forgive my terrible handwriting, it's very hard to do on the iPad. Right, so I'm going to square both sides. Just how I get rid of that square root. So in doing that, again I'm going to write my answer down to 5 significant figures. 0.000650077. Right. Must be greater than 0.21 over n because we've squared the square root, which means it cancels that out. Now we've got a couple of options here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by n and divide by this very long 0.000650077, which effectively means that I'm going to be swapping these two over. But the way I'm doing it is I'm multiplying this side by n, and I'm dividing this side by 0.000650077. So it's going to come out to this. N must be greater than 0.21 over 0.000650077. And to solve that, or to evaluate that, n comes out to, n must be greater than 322.69. Now realistically we're not going to do a survey of 322.69 people because you can't have 0.69 of a people, or of a person. So what we're going to have is n must be greater than or equal to 323. And then we write that out in context. Principal should have at least 323 students in his survey. Which means that when we put our whole thing together, we end up with a problem looking something like this. The principal wants to know what proportion is. We work our way through these steps of working, and we answer it with in words, because the question was in words, so the answer should be in words. The principal should have at least 323 students in his survey. And that's how we do it. So we work our way through these steps. I'll keep that up there for you so that you can make sure you follow along with them.